Well, after months of working on the 911, it's finally time to put the engine and transmission in. I know 2 weeks ago I said that I was going to do this last week, but we'll get into that later. Today we're going to hook the transmission up to the engine and put it in the car basically. I had to fill this up with oil before I hook it on. It's a lot easier. Well, then once we get this over the engine, we're going to do a couple things to prep the engine bay and put the engine in, like put the heater tubes on and stuff. And then we're going to pop this thing in there, and it will run in this video. I can actually promise that. Or at least I can just edit this out if that doesn't happen. Let's get to it. I gotta move quick because I had this in the freezer. I'll explain all that here in a second. All right. Oh, fingers crossed here. It's going in smooth. So was the last one, so far so good. Sweet. Well, finally, got that input shaft seal in. Third time was the charm. So like I said, I just shouldn't have touched this. I should have left the old one in. But when I tried to put the first one in, it was halfway in and it just started ripping the side off, the rubber off the side. So I had to take that out. Then I went on FCP Euro and overnighted 2 more because I wanted 2 more in case I messed another one up. Well, it took a week to get here and they only sent me 1, even though I ordered 2. It even said 2, but that's okay because they refunded my whole order, so I'm not mad at them and I will continue to order from them. That was this one. That one, obviously, as you can see, same situation. Still an L-ring. It was the exact same part and had the exact same problem. The rubber was just super soft and immediately tore. It was going in straight and everything, but didn't happen. So then I thought, okay, I'm going to order a different brand. So I did find the only other people that seem to make it is, what's this one, TCK or TCY, something like that. Found a guy selling them on eBay. Again, ordered 2, and sure enough, he sent me 2 input shaft bearings, but one of them was incorrect. But luckily, I only needed 1 because I was able to get this one in there. I threw it in the freezer, and then I found this washer in just my pile of washers that fit perfectly in the center of that. So I was able to just put this washer on here, as you saw, and then use my jack handle. I actually super glued it to this, but that immediately fell off. And bring that in there. And now it's nice and flush and perfect, and it didn't tear. So, man, just a 2-week-long ordeal trying to put in an input shaft seal. But that's working on cars, you know. But hey, we can finally continue with this project. All right, so before we put the transmission onto the engine, I'm going to fill it up with oil. It's a lot easier to do it out of the car, obviously, than, you know, pump it in there or get some tube apparatus. So I'm going to open the fill plug. That's actually not where we're going to put in the oil. I'll show you. We're going to put it in the vent plug. So I took out the fill plug, so we'll just fill it up in the vent plug until oil starts coming out the fill, and then we'll know it's full. So this is the vent plug up here. Obviously, you really can't get to it when it's in the car. One thing I am going to notice which way the opening is. It's kind of pointing back, so that's the way I'm going to put it back when I put it in, just in case that's important. Got my funnel here. It's just about a little big, but I think I can kind of thread it in there. There we go. That should be good. All right. So like I said, I'm gonna pour the gear oil in the filler and just wait till it starts coming out of the fill plug, and then we'll know we're good. So for the gear oil we're gonna use, you might be thinking, oh, you gotta use Swepco, right? It's the expensive stuff, it's good. Well, here's the deal. Is Swepco better than Valvoline? Sure, probably. Is Kendall better? Sure, probably. But those are way more expensive. And also, when people say, oh, it made such a big difference. It's like, yeah, that's because you took out 40-year-old gear oil and put in new gear oil. And here's the deal. If we put this in and it's not good enough, we can just take it out and put Swepco in at that point. So And the other thing is, I went down to the store and bought this, and to get swept coat, it's going to take at least 4 or 5 days to order that and get it here. So we're going with Valvoline. The important thing is that you don't put synthetic in these. That's what I read, probably science reasons, but so this is just regular gear oil, not synthetic, and but it's Valvoline, so I'm sure it'll be pretty good quality. I wouldn't put store brand stuff in here, but I think this will do just fine. All right. Apparently this transmission takes like 3 quarts, so might take a little bit here. Let me spin this around. Let's see what's coming out here. Oh, well, I should have been paying attention. Making a big mess here. Oh, great. Well, that's a mess. Okay. And then we need to let this drain out because you don't want to have too much in there, so. All right, starting to slow down. That should be good. Oh, made a mess as I suspected. That's all right. All right, I got that mess cleaned up. Another important thing to know with this Valvoline is it is GL5 certified or whatever. So that's also a requirement for this gearbox. So this should be just fine. Like I said, if it's not good enough, we'll change it out. But I think it'll be great. All right, taking my funnel out here. Put my vent plug back in. There we go. Pointing the same way it was before. A little more. There we go, we're good. All right. Transmission's full. We'll keep an eye out for any leaks. It's gonna be hard now that I spilled that everywhere, but I think it'll be all right. All right, I'm gonna install the shift fork here, which goes in like this. Let's go on this side. Let me pop this through. I also tossed some grease on here where these interact, so that should help. All right, this here. This is the order of how the stuff goes on here. The torque spec for this is like 6 or 7 foot-pounds. You on there lightly for now. Torque this down. Like I said, it's about 6 or 7. I'm going to go to 10 because that's the lowest this wrench goes, really. Should be good. All right, now I'm going to put this little tube on here. I actually could have done this after I put the seal in, but. All right, got this little guide tube for the Throwout bearing on there. Clutch fork is on there, which means the transmission is good to go. So there's one more thing I want to do to the transmission to get it ready to put in the car. So I'm actually going to put it in 2nd gear. That'll keep, get this shift rod in further, so we have a little more clearance there, and also we'll know where to hook up the shifter, basically. So to tell what 2nd gear is, if you think about it, right? So if you're up there shifting, there's the gate like this, and if against the spring, which I can't do with the thing, but up and forward, that's reverse, and then 1st, and then 2nd. So if I go all the way against this gate, and then, yeah. And I'm also going to throw this boot on here. It'll be a lot easier to get it on now. Then we can pop the other side on the car when we get it in there. So the transmission is ready to go. So we've got the engine roughly where it needs to be, and I got the transmission hooked up to my hoist here. I got a ratchet strap on here so I can kind of adjust the angle to get it onto the engine. So we jack this up, see if that works. All right, let me get this out of here. Swing this around. Okay, let's see if I can stab this on here. Go down a little bit. You have two people, you probably just lift this thing on there, but don't. There we go. Look at that. Okay, so it's in gear and I can't spin this, which means the shaft is engaged into the flywheel or the clutch, which is good. All right, let me see if I can get it pulled on there. One thing you gotta make sure before you slide the transmission on is that the throwout bearing is in the correct position so that the clutch fork can slide over it. If you watched the video where we took this out, I explained how that works to get the transmission off. So we just did the same thing there. So once it's bolted on, I'm gonna be able to, yeah, it's kind of in the way still, but I should be able to move the throwout bearing into its spot where the clutch fork will be able to disengage and engage the clutch. All right, let me get these other bolts on. So I'm making sure the clutch fork can slide all the way back before I tighten this down, because that means it's going over the throwout bearing. And then once I get these all down, I'll be able to turn the throwout bearing to hold the clutch fork in its proper spot. Okay, I got the transmission almost all the way on. I'm gonna let the weight off here, see what happens. All right. I'm gonna hurry up and eat that table over here. Let's get this out here. So hold this in and spin the throwout bearing. Yep, there we go. Oh, yep. Perfect. All right. Got the transmission on. I'm going to put the starter on. And then that's we're ready to open the car. We still have a couple things to do up here, but getting very close. All right, I cleaned up the starter real quick. Pop this in here. All right, I think those are in. We'll find out when we put it in reverse. I gotta tighten this down here. All right. All right, I think I got everything hooked up. Well, the engine is just about ready to go in. I did finish up a couple things in here. Got these heat tubes on. Used the old ones because they were just fine. And I replaced this gas line here. It was super crusty and old. So I got that replaced. Replaced this boot here for the speedometer cable. This one was good. And then this boot for the shifter is right here. So now it's time to lower the car down and hook this engine up finally. So as you can see, we gotta go forward a lot more. But before we do that, we have to get the shift shaft into this hole. So I'm gonna keep lowering it down until I can get this into here and then slide everything forward. That's what we're trying to do now. Alright, got this transmission bolt in over here, so I'm gonna tighten this and then go to the other side of that. This one winds up over here. Okay, transmission crossover bolts are in. I'm going to line these up and leave these in. Problem I'm having is this bolt is quite, and it just kind of cockeyed. I can't really leave it metal in there yet. Legit. Keep stuff sliding. I got the other bolt. Get some wood out of here. That side up. There we go. Engine is installed. Well, the engine is in. Everything we need to run is hooked up. So I'm going to throw some oil in this thing and then try to start. Using Valvoline VR1. It's the best stuff for old cars. Alright. I'm going to put in 8 quarts. And then, once I get it running, I'll check it again. But it should take around between 8 and 9 quarts. All right, we've got 8 quarts of oil in there. So I'm actually going to disconnect the oil pump from the fuse box there and then just crank this thing over until it builds oil pressure, just in case, because I don't want it to just fire up and for some reason not have oil pressure. So we're just going to crank it over until it has oil pressure, and then we'll plug in the fuel pump, see if it fires up. No oil, I can take that one off of here. All right, I'm going to crank the engine over until we can build oil pressure. See how that goes. Build some oil pressure. So now I'm going to hook up the fuel pump real quick and we'll see how it goes. No idea what the timing's at, it could be way wrong. Okay, got the fuel pump hooked back up. I'm going to turn the key on, let it run, see if there's any leaks. There we go, hear fuel coming up. All right, turn that off. See if we see any leaks here. Let me get my flashlight. Pretty good. All right, let me open this garage door. Give her some gas and see what happens here. I'm gonna show you. Make sure it's connected here. Make sure the coil's getting power here. Oh, that's not right. No power to coil. Well, it's the next day. I got everything hooked up yesterday. Tried to start it, didn't have spark, ran out of time. So I came back today, figured I didn't have power to the CDI box. The connection that hooks the wiring harness into this box back here is just loose. So I kind of jiggled it around, got power to the CDI box. Did get spark, as you might see, a little bit of smoke. Didn't start yet, but hopefully this next one will fire up. So I'm gonna give it some gas. We'll see what happens here. Let me hook up the throttle here real quick. All right. All right, runs. Before I send okay, what time I'm up now, real quick. Open this door here. Sounds pretty good. Whew. All right, well, this thing runs pretty good. So I still haven't dialed anything in, haven't dialed the carbs in or the timing or anything like that. So probably gonna do that tomorrow. We're running out of time again today. So I had about 25 minutes to work on this thing today. So tomorrow, come back, get this thing dialed in, and I think it's gonna run pretty dang good. See you tomorrow. Good morning. So yesterday we got this thing fired up and it ran pretty good, but now it's time to finally dial it in perfectly. So what I'm going to do is first start with the timing and get that set right, and then we're going to go move to the carbs. These are actually at the settings that they were at when I took them off the car, which is probably why it fired right up. But it's kind of weird. Like all the air bleeds are open pretty far, which they shouldn't be open at all. So we'll see what's going on there. What I'm probably going to do is once it's up to temperature, I'm going to put these back to the base settings, and I have the settings right now recorded just in case if I want to go back. But I'm putting them in the base settings and then try to tune them from there and see what we can get going. So yeah, first I'm going to get it running, let it warm up a little bit. I can set the timing while it's warming up, and then we'll start moving in on the carbs. All right, let's fire this thing up. too advanced. Smoky. A lot of oil burning off the different things. I need to add some oil. Alright, got enough oil in there, so now I'm going to fire this thing up and rev it up pretty good now that it's warm and see what the timing's at higher RPM. I'm supposed to do 6,000. I don't know if we'll get all the way up there, but it should be peak timing a bit before that, so we'll see. Let's try that. Alright, I'm going to tighten that down for now and then pop these off. We'll start dialing in the carbs. Alright, I'm just going to put all these at the base setting and see how it runs. So I got the timing good, so I'm not too worried. I'm going to turn these air bleeds all the way in, which is the default setting. Alright, air bleeds are all the way in. Okay. So now we're going to adjust the mixture screws, which is all in and 2.5 out. Okay, so we got the cars at their base settings. So I'm going to give them each a pump, and then we'll fire it up and see if it runs at all. Okay. We need a little more throttle. Where's my screwdriver at? Another half turn on each. Man, this CDI box plugs. The problem I'm having is this plug back here gives power to the CDI. Not on the CDI, but it kind of gives power to this whole board and eventually makes its way to the CDI. It's just loose. So I gotta figure something out there. All right, well, we got it dialed in pretty good. Still not getting power to the CDI box, so I got to figure that out. It's not even coming to that plug now, so I don't know what the issue is there. Might have to re-terminate that plug or something. This is pretty good. So I'm gonna get the throttle hook back up. So I'm gonna have to adjust these way in. Yeah, they're too far, so put these on. I gotta be honest, the base settings were like pretty much perfect, so probably gonna leave it there. So let's get these adjusted and then yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, so we're gonna adjust the throttle linkage next. As you can see, it's too long. The throttle would have to be open quite a bit for it to go on. So we're gonna make this shorter. So I'm actually just going to pop this off, put it on the other way so I can turn against that one. This one up here is gonna be reverse threaded, so I actually wanna take it to the right here. Yep, there we go. Do that. And this one down here is regular threaded. Okay, put this on there. It's a lot easier to turn these when they're hooked to something. There we go. Okay, get the lock nuts off. So since one of these is reverse threaded, when it's threading out of one, it'll thread into both at the same time. So I'm gonna get this all the way down. Oh, you know what? This has to get way up. You can tell these aren't even. Still pushing it. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. I can adjust this. So there's just a little bit of weight on there. I'm gonna tighten these lock nuts. All right, there we go. So these are both sitting on the throttle screws, but open evenly, so that's good to go. So I'm gonna fire this thing up and test that out real quick. I think we have a little too much accelerator pump, but I'm really not going to adjust that until I drive it because it's kind of hard to tell when it's idling. I'm also going to check the timing again, but we're getting there. Now that I got this thing running, dialed in, I'm going to put the air box on and make sure it's still dialed in because I can change things. Hose is hooked up on the back. Everything underneath. This on the back. Yep. Okay, last one. Gotta get this little guy. All right. This on here. There we go. Clean this up a little bit. It needs good scrub a bit. Do that later. All right, let's fire this thing up with the intake and see how it runs. Well, it's been a lot of work, but the engine's finally in. It's running, it's tuned, and it sounds great. I'm really excited to get this thing out on the road, but we still got a lot of work to do. First thing I gotta do is figure out the wiring. I mean, the CDI box is getting power sometimes. Halfway through this video, I had to start jumping it on the fuse, so I don't know what the deal is there. I still gotta get the shifter linkage hooked up, put the CV axles in, bleed the brakes, stuff like that. But that's all gonna be in the next video. I think we're only gonna have maybe one more video working on this thing, and then we'll be driving it, so that's pretty exciting. So stay tuned, keep watching, like, subscribe, and thanks for watching. See you next time.